This week on the Computer Chronicles, a look at the digital home of the future. We'll take you to the first ever digital living room conference to see how PCs, TVs, telephones, and home appliances will soon interconnect and change the way we live. The digital home of the future, coming up next on the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by SoftSource Incorporated, publishers of Pro1's Mathematics Tutor in a Box for school year 98-99, including 6 CDs and workbook. And by Z Auction, the live online shopping experience. Additional funding from PC Connection and Mac Connection, the catalog and online superstore with PC and Mac products, toll-free technical support and overnight delivery. And by Windows Magazine, delivering desktop, enterprise, and internet computing news, reviews, features, and how-tos for a Windows world, because the world runs on Windows.
Hi, and welcome to this special edition of the Computer Chronicles. We're in Laguna Niguel in Southern California to cover the first ever digital living room conference, a look at the consumer technology of the future. You know, there's this theory that one day soon our lives are going to change radically and that computer technology is going to evolve from being about standalone PCs to a pervasive digital technology that affects every aspect of our lives, from how we watch TV to how we use the phone, how we work, and how we play. This conference is a first attempt at trying to define that digital future.
One of the big things that's going to happen is home networking. Now, people have been talking about this, tossing it about, for more than a decade now, but it's finally becoming real. So you'll be able to hook up your computer, let's say, through the electricity or the telephone wiring you already have to other computers in your house, to share printers, to get on the internet with only one connection for all the computers in your house. From there, we're beginning to see real good examples of controlling appliances, being able to have your videotape record when you want it to, automating various parts of your life using digital technology that's become simpler, cheaper, and easier for people to use and understand.
IBM, which helped launch the desktop computer revolution, is also trying to play a lead role in the digital home revolution. This is IBM's Home Director Pro, which lets you control PCs, TVs, stereos, security systems, and the heating and lighting fixtures in your home. The brains of the system is a home network controller, which brings data, voice, fax, and video wiring into one central location in the home. You can also set up an interactive monitoring screen in any room of the house. For example, in the kitchen, this touchscreen allows you to access the network and do things like keep an updated shopping list, which is generated by a barcode reader, which scans your food containers as you use them. A company called Interval Research, one of the many new technology companies funded by Paul Allen, is also working on a model for a home network. This is called the MediaWire Home Network, and it can integrate audio, video, telephony, computer data, and control information through one digital network architecture. The folks at Interval say this technology will be fast and will be available in 1999.
You won't see products based on this technology probably until late next year sometime. But we have a home network that runs on the existing telephone wiring, and it provides a data bandwidth of 44 megabits per second. So that's enough bandwidth to carry audio, MPEG video, HD TV, telephone calls, as well as computer data.
As with any new technology, one of the issues is standards, trying to establish one standard for all home devices to communicate. And because TVs and telephones and computers all use different technologies now, it will take a while for us to get to the totally interconnected digital home.
One of the big issues is trying to come up with the way things talk to one another. There have been a number of tries at this. None of them are all inclusive, and frankly, it's going to be a while. I think what we're going to see are islands of connectivity grow. Your home entertainment center first, your computer to other computers in your house second, but it will be a while before these two things talk together. But over time, it will happen.
One of the most well-known industry pioneers, Bob Frankston, thinks the answer for a home interconnectivity standard is right in front of us, the Internet Protocol, or IP standard.
We're now at the verge of bringing that same simplicity inside the home. So whatever wires you have, whether it's, we've just announced the ability to use the phone wires for networking, or a lot of people run their own wires, and wireless, it'll all be simplified by, we'll have a layer on top of it running the same internet protocol. And that sets the stage for all the devices to start to cooperate and work together.
Once you have your digital home wired and networked, how do you control it? Well, IBM is working on a solution, the digital coffee table. It's the integration of a multimedia PC and a home entertainment system.
The coffee table is a natural item in the living room already. What it does for you to have a digital coffee table is gives you a projection TV in a space that you're already using and full access to all these integrated media rather than taking up a lot of space in your home that would be otherwise used for the integration of these components.
Under the table is an AM/FM radio, an audio cassette and CD player, a VHS tape deck, a PC with an internet connection, and a video projection device. IBM says its digital coffee table is truly plug and play. Just plug in the power cord and the phone line and turn it on. The IBM digital coffee table is only a prototype now, but it and the digital home network are clearly in our future, despite the view of some who say we don't really need to have our homes networked.
It's sort of like saying, why would anybody need a multi-car garage? 50 years ago, why would you need a multi-car garage? You were lucky if you had one car. Well, today, people need a place to park 2 or 3 cars because they have 2 or 3 cars, and it'll scale up to that.
It has generally been assumed that the personal computer will be the primary engine of the digital future, but not everyone agrees. There are other technologies out there, like the television set, like the telephone, that themselves could become the anchor device in the digital home of the future.
Magic phone, please display my stock information.
Here are the stock quotes you requested.
Show my weather.
Okay, here's the weather forecast you wanted.
This is a voice-activated smartphone from General Magic. Unlike a PC or other similar devices, this smartphone doesn't require a web browser, a keyboard, or even a pointing device. Codenamed the Magic Phone, this cool gadget features a backlit, grayscale VGA LCD screen, and it also includes full-feature telephony capabilities, such as voicemail and a voice-activated phone book.
Glenn Shires
is calling.
Answer the phone.
General Magic is due to begin testing this prototype with focus groups to find out just which features consumers really want. The original internet telephone is the Citgo iPhone, a real product that you can buy now. With the iPhone, you can look at websites, display graphics, even photographs and artwork. The iPhone features a 16-shade grayscale screen, plus a printer port for hard copy output. One of the newest entries in the smartphone field is the Interactive phone from 2 companies, Mitsui and Planet Web. This phone features a full-colored touchscreen. It lets you access the internet, it works as an answering machine and a fax machine, and it comes with a built-in notepad and calendar. While the advent of the smartphone is leading some to believe that the telephone could be the main controller for the digital home of the future, there are others who are betting on the television set. Indeed, the first real digital appliance in the home will be the digital TV, also called advanced TV or HD TV.
So high-definition television, digital television, enhanced television, whatever you end up calling it, is very important. It's going to provide both a mechanism for getting information, much more so than today. Today you get television pictures. Tomorrow you'll get data along with your television. And also for setting up a display environment. Someday, the best monitor in your house will probably be your digital television. Today, the best monitor is probably attached to your computer. So that has the opportunity to change things.
National Semiconductor is one of those companies trying to change things. They have developed this prototype for the smart TV of the future called the Media Center. It is a reference platform built to demonstrate the possibilities of the television set as the centerpiece for the digital home.
I think you'll end up seeing quite a range of people who end up wanting it, from those people who want internet capabilities to those who really want an infotainment device. I think probably what you won't see is a lot of people really desperately excited about running Excel, say, or PowerPoint in their living room. But I think there are other aspects of computers that are attractive. Clearly, browsing is starting to become very effective now in the living room. And I definitely think DVD and gaming will become significant and compelling value propositions of the future integrated platform.
One of the hot topics in the area of the digital future is this notion of convergence, the belief that today's separate technologies will soon come together and emerge into one technology, maybe one device, one source of content. To some, a good example of that is the first ever cable network that brings together a giant software company, Microsoft, and a giant television company, NBC.
There was one night not long ago when we the story about George Bush writing the director of the Secret Service, almost a friend of the court letter, saying, I've lived with Secret Service agents for half my life now. These men and women shouldn't be forced to, compelled to testify. We broke that story on our 9 o'clock broadcast, and the executive producer of the 9 o'clock broadcast, Steve Kappas, and I went back to the newsroom and sat down and banged out the story for the website. It was a scene out of the front page, minus cigarettes. It was rather exciting, and it's as if you have access to an ongoing daily newspaper where the presses are running all the time for us.
In addition to the convergence of content and distribution, there is also the convergence of hardware, though there is some disagreement as to whether the long-promised device convergence will actually happen.
I think there's a fundamental problem with putting everything in one big box, which is that different pieces of that box would become obsolete at different rates. And so I think ultimately, as far as I can tell, what is going to make the most sense going forward is to have a lot of little discrete devices, some of which will become obsolete quickly, but it won't be a big issue because they'll be inexpensive and small. So I don't think it makes sense to have a $5,000 gigantic server computer in your basement, because that server computer is going to become obsolete in 2 or 3 years, and my God, you're going to have to spend $5,000 all over again. So much better to have a lot of little components and bits and pieces.
Over the next 3 to 5 years, I think it's pretty clear that both televisions and computers will continue to exist. Some people will be using one for the other. That's already started. It will be a long time, though, if ever, before you just have one type of device. The economics, the user patterns work against that pretty strongly.
Nevertheless, several companies are moving ahead with convergent products which look like PC TVs. For example, Philips demonstrated the DVX 8000 multimedia home theater. It includes a TV tuner, a DVD player for movies, DVD-ROMs, CD-ROMs, and audio CDs, a video line doubler, and a 233 MHz MMX PC with built-in online access. As you might expect, the remote control for this device looks like something out of Star Wars. The LCD menu changes depending on whether you are using the set for audio, video, or computing. The Media Center from National Semiconductor, which we showed you earlier, is definitely designed as a convergence box.
Well, clearly people have been talking about the convergence of the consumer electronics and computing markets for quite some time. We believe that now we're starting to reach a point where it really starts to make sense. As the video quality improves, as we get better storage and playback media such as DVD, and computing is coming down to more effective, cost-effective price points, we believe it's starting to reach a point where it makes a lot of sense to build an integrated platform.
And the IBM view is that if you can bring computer capabilities to consumers without a computer, you've got a product they'll want. That is the whole point in the digital coffee table.
This is providing you the technology without making you deal with the computer. The range of capabilities here is everything from interacting on family tree genealogy in multimedia with the audio tapes of your grandmothers, videotapes of your baby pictures, all of these interesting coalescing of technologies to provide an interesting impact to people's social lives and their real desire to get things done.
For several years now, some technology gurus have been predicting the demise of printing, of books, of old-fashioned ways of reading. They say they'll be replaced by a new form of digital media, the sort of hypertext, electronic, wired, interconnected virtual book.
This is just about the size of a paperback book, but it holds about 10 full-size novels and allows you to read them where you couldn't otherwise read, where the lighting is not as good and so on.
This is the Rocket Book from Nouveau Media. It weighs just over a pound, and it can hold at least 4,000 pages of text and graphics. The rechargeable battery lasts for up to 40 hours. You can download books from online libraries or booksellers into your PC and then offload them to the Rocket Book by setting it in a cradle connected to your serial port. The Rocketbook has adjustable font sizes, multiple bookmarks and hypertext links, and since this truly is a digital book, you can browse, search, annotate, and highlight in ways that are impossible with an old-fashioned paper book. But support for the idea of a digital book is mixed.
There's actually two companies, one of which is here, Rocketbook, another one, Softbook. They're both proposing by the end of the year to have these little handheld units. And I got to say, that could really work. I'm reading a hardback book right now that actually weighs more than either one of those prototypes. And it's really a project to sit and hold this thing in your lap. So I could see some real potential for something like that. Again, especially because you could get new content without going to the bookstore. You could just download it over the internet and there it is for you to read.
Now, my personal view is I don't want to carry around a $400 device that can only read a book. However, if the device I carry around that keeps my schedule, that checks my email, will also let me read a book, so much the better.
But the folks at Nouveau Media, the designers of the Rocketbook, disagree.
What is it that you expect the book to do? We try to do that. And we spend a lot of time talking to people and watching people read and trying to understand what it is that you expect. What is the natural thing to do? This is the reason for building a dedicated device for reading rather than trying to do this on a laptop computer or so on, is that everything in this device is optimized to make the reading experience as pleasurable as possible and to make the mechanics of reading not get in the way of the enjoyment of reading.
While Nouveau Media was working on the digital book, other startups here were focusing on new ways to deal with digital pictures. For decades, there has been the promise of video telephony, but up until now, it's been an unfulfilled promise. Logitech hopes to change that with its new DotCam, designed specifically for internet use.
Hi guys, it's Daddy.
Logitech's DotCam works with Microsoft's NetMeeting software. With digital connectivity, it becomes easier to communicate with pictures, so Meta Creations has come out with a new software program for putting together professional-looking visual stories. PowerShow lets you do sophisticated TV-style effects like page peels and dissolves, all in a $49 package. And with the growth of 3D images on the web, Meta Creations also showed off its new technology called Meta Streaming, which lets you download complex 3D images in the same way we can now download 2D images.
Let's say you got a 200 million polygon dinosaur you want to buy at some shopping mall thing. It would normally say 15 minutes download, wait. You get the whole thing, you're done, you can play with it. In this new format, you're streaming the data in 3D, and you can instantly start playing with it. Rotate, zoom, play around with it, and the longer you wait, the sharper it gets and the more you see. Trading time for beauty, that's a whole new thing, and we happily license that to Intel and Microsoft.
Despite all this talk of the digital living room and the digital future, most of us, in fact, are still living in an analog world. The radio we listen to, the television we watch, the computer monitor we stare at, these are all basically analog devices.
If you can sell an inexpensive color display screen to put in the kitchen, I mean really inexpensive, like again, maybe $100, that would be plug into the wall and connect to your computer in another room where you could download a recipe from the internet and then display it, that makes sense if it's very inexpensive and very easy.
But most of us are not using digital flat screens. We are using old-fashioned analog CRTs. To really go digital, you need a way to move images from your digital desktop to a digital display. That's the mission of a company called Silicon Image. They have a new product called PanelLink that bypasses the analog video port on your PC and lets you take a direct digital feed so you get better quality and faster performance. Compaq is the first PC company to use the new flat panel display in their FP500 model. The inevitable trend into the digital future is raising some serious issues: the need to take a quantum leap into a new generation of software applications and a concern about a level playing field for digital innovation. One common theme here at this conference was Microsoft and its potential to dominate the digital future. But surprisingly, the general view here was that given the focus on content and appliances in the digital home, we are all safe from a Microsoft hegemony.
I believe that, there's fundamentally three markets. There's computers, phones, and television, and there's a convergence place for those three. But the convergence place is probably not that huge of a market. It's a big market, and several companies are going to battle it out. But when you want a phone, you want a phone. When you want a TV, you want a TV. When you want a computer, you want a computer. And probably Microsoft's going to dominate computers, Sony's going to dominate TVs, and Motorola will dominate phones. And that's how the world will evolve. And I think we need to defocus from this Microsoft stuff.
Microsoft has proven one thing, that is they don't do content very well, but if they can take somebody else's content, I'm thinking of Microsoft Investor as an example, they can do really good software-based delivery and graphical user interface. It isn't clear what Microsoft's role is going to be. Certainly it's going to be important, but people who believe Microsoft is just going to march into any market that it chooses need only look at MSN and its success or lack of same.
Finally, there was a sense here that we are on the verge of a new era in computing technology, of new breakthroughs and new innovations that will fundamentally change technology and recreate the excitement of the first wave of personal computing.
If somebody could write chess in 8K, now imagine you told that programmer, hey, you're going to have 200 megahertz, 4 gigabytes disk, blah, blah, blah. That guy would have spontaneously combusted on the spot if he had had that kind of capability. I think people have gotten quite lazy in coding things and without really, and for some reason I ended up attracting, so I'm still trying to play the magnet there, to attract some very, very bright people. And they've come up with algorithms that are just optimized down to the last little itty bit, the way they used to be in the old days. I remember those days and the excitement. There was something in the air. There was a visceral excitement of adrenaline that we all thought, this is the future. And then somehow the poop went out of it. We all got so jaded. It's like yawn installing Beta 99 or something. And it didn't seem to matter anymore. And I love that this is almost coming back now, that there is stuff where you go, holy crap, I didn't think this was possible.
This digital living room conference is basically a meeting of middle-aged people trying to define the digital future for their children. But the kids are already being exposed to some of this new digital technology thanks to some very innovative products that combine some of the new concepts with some very familiar old ones.
What we have actually is a Lego microcomputer that we're putting into our sets. It's a real computer. It's powered by 6 AA batteries, but has a microprocessor that can actually handle 1,000 commands per second. It also has 3 input ports for sensors, and the main set, which is called the Robotics Invention System, includes 2 touch sensors and a light sensor. But being Lego, things as fancy sounding as sensors just sort of snap into place. There are also 3 output ports for motors, and again, motors just snap into place. So what kids can now do is they can build their model around this microcomputer and then create a program for it using a programming language we've created, download that program into this microcomputer, and then have a fully functioning, fully autonomous robot.
The drag-and-drop programming language, a Lego form of Logo, lets you build and program a robot in about an hour. And no matter how you put the commands together, you always get some result.
The neat things about how the programming language was developed is that you can't make a mistake. No matter how you snap together those command blocks, something's going to happen. It may not be exactly what you thought was going to happen, but something's going to happen.
Another example of merging new technology with old technology is the iXR Exerscape exercise system, a healthy addition to your digital home. You connect your exercise bike to your PC with the iXR hardware. Then on the computer screen, you can follow the White Rim Trail in Canyonlands National Park in Utah. The screen shows you the trail from the bike rider's point of view. Your pedaling speed controls the video rate, so if you slow down, so does the trail. The digital home of the future will bring some new capabilities that seem hard to imagine right now, but will no doubt seem routine in just a few years. Here's just a sampling of what some of the experts expect.
The thing that I think makes perfect sense is to be able to walk up to your VCR and say, tape channel 4 at 8 o'clock tonight for 1 hour. And the VCR responds, okay, and you're done.
Everybody can relate to this. You're going to bed, and you suddenly realize that you didn't turn off the light in the living room, and you just gotta, oh geez, I gotta, go up, it's cold, turn it off and go back to bed, right? Well, everybody's got that experience. It's silly, okay? Because you can embed a little transmitter and a switch and make it very easy. Now, Radio Shack and others have tried to do things together, but it didn't really work. But I think now with the technology, the wireless technology we have, there are great ways to do this. This is a very simple example.
And there are examples that sound silly that actually make a lot of sense. You could eventually have some sort of sensor in your refrigerator that detects the level of milk in the milk carton and warns you at work, you're out of milk, maybe on the way home you should stop and get some milk.
Do people really want a smart refrigerator that knows when their yogurt's going to go bad? I'm not sure they do, and it may be very much technology in search of a market.
I think people are going to share images electronically. It's going to be really important, and that's going to be kind of a replacement for today's snapshots. Instead of taking a picture of my kid's soccer game and showing it to you, I'm going to take a digital picture and email it to you. And then you won't have to stand around pretending to admire my picture. You can just delete it.
How many times do you have to make sure that the temperature of the bath is right? It drives you nuts, right? Why can't the bathtub do that? It says, I like my bath at, 87 degrees or 96 degrees, whatever. And please run a bath.
There's no question but that we all have a digital future, and no matter what our houses may look like on the outside, on the inside we will be dealing with information, with entertainment, in fact with each other in a very different way as a result of silicon chips in every room of the house. That's it for our coverage of this digital living room conference. In Southern California, I'm Stuart Chaffee for the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by SoftSource Incorporated, publishers of Pro One software, educational software for young adults. And by Z Auctions, the live online shopping experience. Additional funding from PC Connection and Mac Connection, the catalog and online superstore with PC and Mac products, toll-free technical support and overnight delivery. And by Windows Magazine, delivering desktop, enterprise, and internet computing news, reviews, features, and how-tos for a Windows world, because the world runs on Windows.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.
Next week on the Computer Chronicles, Windows 98. We'll show you some of the new features of Win 98. We'll ask Windows Magazine editor Mike Elgin whether it's worth upgrading. You'll meet some Windows 98 users to see what they think. We'll show you some of the more fun aspects of Windows 98 with 2 add-on packages, Plus 98 and Gizmos 98. We'll meet the man who developed one of the popular alternatives to Windows, Mr. Linux, Linus Torvalds. It's all coming up next week on the Computer Chronicles.